What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And of course, there's still really not a lot of news happening over the next couple of days, so we're going to be doing some pretty obscure videos. And today we're going to be talking about Katakuri, specifically the Super Evolution. Now, since the announcement and the data download of the character, I've been just really thinking about how I want to use this character when he officially releases, when the Kizuna drops. And the first thing I was thinking of was Pirate Rumble, because I think that his buffs that he received in Pirate Rumble make him so much better than his base unit, and we can briefly go through that right now for those of you who have no idea what his base attack and skills actually is. He just gives the classes that he boosts a level 6 attack buff, which I mean, on release is pretty decent actually. And then the 25 CT, which has a little bit of self-healing and then a really crappy small range attack. So yeah, this was probably the biggest thing that needed to be changed, and they did a really good job with his changes. So now I'm just going to show you guys just the comparison between what we just saw and now this is the super evolved form of Katakuri, where he gives those classes a level 6 attack buff. I believe with level limit break it actually goes up to level 7, and then he gives fighter allies level 6 HP and level 6 speed, and I believe those also go up to level 7 with the level limit break. So that's a pretty big upgrade to his Rumble ability. And then his Rumble special, it does 2.75 times attack and 30% heal, and then with level limit break it becomes like a 2.9 times large range attack and a 40% heal to himself. Just amazing buffs across the board that make him an absolute monster in Pirate Rumble, especially when you account for the fact that he's going to have increased statistics. I mean, we can see right here just at the moment, you can see that this is level 150 without like limit break. I think it does have limit break, but like no candies or no sockets or anything, so the stats are just pretty good like this. And obviously when you add all the other stuff on top of it, the stats are going to go through the roof, easily over a 10,000 HP and probably around 4,000 attack. It's going to be nuts. And you can see this is Katakuri here with level 150 with limit break expansion. This is before the super evolution, my current one right now, with 12,296 HP and 4235 attack. Just absurd statistics right there. So let's actually just talk about how we can use this guy in Pirate Rumble. We already just had a look at the level limit break and the super evolution abilities and the special ability of what he's going to provide in Rumble. So the first thing I wanted to explore was fighters, because that is where he's going to fit the best in terms of providing the most buffs. Maybe not the best team, but it's where he's going to give that team the most buffs, as he'll give them the attack boost, the health boost, and the speed buff, all going to be pretty significant. So this is the team that I came up with, and I'm not like too happy with this team. I don't think this team is going to be amazing by any sense, but there's a couple of key characters here. We've got like the Straw Hat crew, for example. They are a fighter character, and their Rumble ability gives an attack boost and a health boost, and for the first 30 seconds they give side characters a defense buff. And that's probably going to be the biggest issue with the fighter team, is they don't have a lot of good ways to get defense. So this is a decent character, plus when they launch their special they can provide some healing, they can action bind the enemies. They're pretty decent. Jack is going to be a pretty decent fit if you're building a fighter team. Obviously he gives a lot of HP, level 6, and for the first 30 seconds you get a defense boost, and then of course when he launches his special on a relatively low CT, he does another defense boost for your crew, and then he does 2 hits of the health cut, so that's going to help your team do more damage towards the enemy. So that seems like a pretty easy fit for the team. And then we also have Otama, because I want to talk about her, because she's a pretty good unit in the fact that she actually provides buffs to not only free spirit but also the fighter class, and a lot of people forget that. So she provides a crit up, and for the first 30 seconds she provides level 6 CT increase to your fighters and your free spirits, allowing you to launch your specials very quickly. And of course she has a really low CT special that provides pretty decent healing to your crew, so if you start taking damage you can heal that back up. Now the other character that we hadn't talked about is actually Sabo. That was the character I wasn't really too sure who I could really fit in this position with, because I mean there's really not a lot of good just mono fighter based characters in Pirate Rumble. And you've got this guy here with his Rumble ability, fighter shooter free spirit, level 7 attack, and for the first 40 seconds he gives himself a further level 5 attack. So it's obviously just focused on doing damage. And then again, 25 CT, the same as Katakuri, giving enemies in a large range 2 times attack, and then gives your fighter, shooter, free spirit level 7 attack for 20 seconds, just buffing the rest of your crew so that they can do more damage. Specifically Katakuri, he's going to be probably one of your heaviest hitters on this team, and the fact that, you know, Katakuri, when he does launch his special, he actually does self-healing, so he's going to be continuously healing himself. You have Otama, which can potentially provide healing, so I think Katakuri should be lasting quite a long time, but of course this team doesn't have a lot of defense, so when the enemy starts hitting you back, you're going to be tanking a lot of damage. There's a couple of good HP boosters here, but that could be an issue for this team. So switching things up, this next team here is focused on Katakuri's secondary class because he's a fighter powerhouse character. So I was looking at seeing what kind of powerhouse units we could run alongside him, and this is what we have. So we've obviously got Katakuri, and remember that he only provides the attack boost to all of the classes that he boosts with his captain ability, and then the health and the speed boost only get applied to fighter characters. So in this instance here, only the marker on this team will be receiving this buff, so it's a bit of a downside there. But we've got some other characters here. We've got Blackbeard, for example. So Blackbeard, his rumble ability provides buffs to both Driven and Powerhouse, level 6 attack, level 6 HP, and enemy speed down level 3, pretty interesting. And then a 33 CT that does 2 times attack in a large range. All enemies get given speed down level 7 for 20 seconds, and targets 2 enemies with 80% or more CT for guaranteed action bind for 10 seconds. It's a pretty absurd special ability. Blackbeard received a PvP buff relatively recently, which has made him good, but of course one of the big problems inherently with Powerhouse is that they don't really deal with Wano lore. Wano lore is such a huge red flag for any Powerhouse or Driven team, as he just debuffs them significantly and makes it very hard to take him down. So, you know, teams like this probably aren't going to be super successful, but we do have V1 Whitebeard. Luckily, my one is actually level limit break, with level 150, and you can see those stats are pretty significant. And of course the big thing about Whitebeard is the low CT 50% health cut to all enemies. It's ridiculous. Best case scenario, you get Whitebeard to launch first, which allows the rest of your specials to have a higher chance of knocking out the enemy. Of course, we've got Blackbeard, which can do some good debuffs. Katakuri hits really hard, and then we've also got Katakuri. Katakuri is also like one of the other characters I wasn't really too sure who could kind of fit in this last position, but you know, this guy's actually pretty decent. Level 6 health and attack to Powerhouse, and then 34 CT, which is very high, but he gives 1 enemy defense ignoring 0.8 times his attack, and he does it 4 times, so it's okay damage from Katakuri. I don't think he's that good, but one of the good things about Powerhouse is they recently got obviously Who's Who and Black Maria. If you have those 2 characters alongside 6+ Katakuri, I think that has a really good sound to it, and that actually could be a very good core of characters you could use to build a Powerhouse team from. So, unfortunately, I don't have Who's Who or Black Maria to test them out in Pyro Rumble, but I think those 2 with Katakuri, you could kind of build something off of that. I believe, is Who's Who actually a fighter? If he is, that actually works perfectly with Katakuri. So, if for those of you out there that actually have Who's Who, you could build something interesting with that. But also we have Marco here. Now, Marco is actually a Kizuna Rare Recruit character, but this guy actually also is one of those units that received buffs earlier on in the year, and his Rumble ability gives a speed and defense increase to Powerhouse, which is good. And then his Rumble special on a 20 CT targets one of your Powerhouse allies with the lowest CT and then brings it up by 30%, and then also targets Powerhouse teammates for level 5 speed. It's not like the best special ever, but he's another unit that can provide some defense, and a special that can launch pretty quickly to just bring one of your other Powerhouse character specials up, considering you got characters like Kaido and Blackbeard, and their CTs are relatively high compared to Katakuri and Whitebeard. So it kind of makes sense in terms of the team build, but probably not the team that I would be going for. So the final team that we have here is, I think this team is going to be the most successful, and it's no real surprise, but we do have a lot of very, very powerful characters here. So this is going to be essentially like a mono side team, but we've got some pretty nice units in here. We have Katakuri, of course, with all of his amazing buffs, and remember, he only provides the speed and the health to fighter characters, which none of the characters are going to be fighter characters aside from Sober Mask on the bench. But he still provides the attack buff to all of the characters on the team, because it's like fighter, shooter, slasher, which all of these characters are fighter, shooter, and slasher, you know, Powerhouse and Driven on this front line here. And then you've got Wano Law, which can provide the CT increase to your Psy characters to launch their specials quicker. And, you know, with Wano Law's like level 6 CT increase, and you think that, you know, Katakuri's on a 25 CT, he's going to be launching his special very, very quickly. You got Odin, and Odin is one of the best Pyro Rumble characters in the game. He just hits extremely hard, action bind, you love to see it. And also Kuzan. Kuzan 6+ V2, and my personal one is level 150 with the Limit Break expansion. He's as maxed as he possibly can be. And you have a look at this special ability, or this rumble ability. Quicken Psy, get level 7 attack, level 7 speed, level 5 defense, just amazing rumble ability. And then a 33 CT for 4k fixed damage to all enemies, and can also do debuffs to strength and int characters. He's a very, very solid unit if you're able to abuse him correctly in Pirate Rumble. And of course, we've got the Rebecca, who is a side character, which synergizes well with the team, but also Rebecca is a shooter character, which means Katakuri does actually give the attack buff to. And of course, Psy allies get level 6 attack, level 2 defense, level 5 health, and then a pretty good special on a very low CT. So Rebecca will be able to launch her special very quickly as well. And then on the bench, we actually have Smoothie, who is a Psy unit, who is a slasher and a powerhouse, so she actually receives the buffs from Katakuri, which is good, and she hits really hard as well. But then bench units like Sober Mask and Smoker can be replaced with whatever you kind of want. But I think this team actually might be relatively successful, so I definitely want to try out all these teams when Katakuri receives his Super Evolution, just to see what he can do. But I don't really think he kind of shoehorns himself into any team perfectly right now. Of course, if you have access to the Toby Ropo Sugo Fest exclusives, I think you can build something really, really interesting with that, but we'll have to wait and see how things progress. But that's going to wrap it up for me. Let me know down below in the comment section, what are the characters do you think would work really well with Katakuri in terms of his 6+ in Pyro Rumble? I'd love to hear it, because I definitely want to try out some different things with this guy in PvP. Just his Rumble ability and special alone get me so excited, because it is a great set of skills on a low CT. I think this guy has potential to be a very, very powerful Pyro Rumble character. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching, and if you guys enjoyed the video today, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.